Hey, today I want to tell you, it's probably not the camera that you're using that's making the biggest difference in your photography. It's probably not that you spent hundreds or maybe even thousands of dollars on photography gear. What if I told you that the one thing that's holding you back from taking the photos that you want is your eye? Well, in this video, I'm going to walk you through how to use your eye to take better photos. So my main thing when I'm training my eye is to use different things. Some most basic concepts that most people who take photos or do photography use is the rule of thirds, leading lines, and also finding backgrounds that make your subject pop or stand out. Obviously, if you have a subject with a busy outfit on, maybe a pattern or a floral shirt or something like that that's pretty busy, you probably don't want to put them on a wall that's busy as well. You want to look for backgrounds that make your subject pop. So you can see behind me, there's a pink and a blue light. And these two lights have color harmony. We're not going to get too much into color harmony today, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to start learning about what colors work best with each other. You can find color wheels all over YouTube and all over Google, where people teach you how color theory works, what colors work together, how the mind and the brain react to different colors. So when you get some free time, start doing a deeper study on color. But that's not the reason for this video. The reason for this video is to talk about how we use those things to make your images stand out more when people are scrolling, or whether you're saving them or printing them. What's gonna make that ideal photo look more professional? So I briefly talked about the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds is something you deeply want to consider when photographing something. So I want you to imagine a tic-tac-toe grid. You know, X, O, you win, you get a cat if you tie. I want you to think about that in great detail, because that's how your viewfinder is typically set up. Whether you're using a mobile device to take your photos or whether you're using a camera. Imagine that screen into 9 different squares. So your top right has a square, your bottom left has a square, the bottom right, top left, there's 9 different squares, and there's 3 in the middle. So when you're taking your photo, the most interesting points in a photograph are those intersecting lines. So if you can imagine, there's square, 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 square.
Yeah.
So there's an intersecting line here, 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 and here. So you can begin to use things inside those intersecting points to make things more interesting. Whether you want to use one of the intersecting points to make leading lines, or whether you want to use another intersecting point to cause the depth of field to fall off. These are items that build upon each other. So the first and most important thing is understanding how to use the rule of thirds and why it's so important and why it's so paramount inside of all of photography. So I'll talk briefly about leading lines. So I want to kind of segue right into leading lines. So leading lines typically are those things in your photo to where your eye is driven to a point. As you can see, there are some leading lines behind me, possibly these racks, they're framing me. So that would actually be some type of leading line, which is known as a frame in a frame. If I put my head over here, you can see it's more of a leading line with the 2 lines coming in my head. Kind of makes me look like I have antennas, but that's not the point. Those lines kind of guide your eye to look at something because they're going somewhere. A lot of times when you're using leading lines, they can be used very creatively to draw the subject or the viewer's eye towards your subject. So anytime you're using leading lines, try to make sure that you understand who your subject is or what your subject is, and make sure those lines lead towards where you want the viewer to perceive your photo or see what you like them to see in your photo. Now, this is a very touchy subject, and I'd rather not dive into it too deeply, but learn how to edit. 80% of what you're gonna do with your phone or with your camera is gonna be done in camera or on the phone. But when it comes to editing, it's a very, very important thing that you understand when enough is enough. So think about the way you want your photo to feel. Do you want your photo to feel warm and fuzzy? Do you want your photo to feel nice and balanced and daylight and just beautifully lit? Or do you want your photo to be more edgy or more more darks and shadows. So those are things you want to consider before you're capturing, before you're figuring out your rule of thirds, or before you're figuring out your leading lines. Think about how do you want the vibe of your photo to be. And those are just three little, quick different options. Like I said, whether you want warm and sunny glow, or whether you want balanced and even light, or whether you want dark and moody. Those are probably three of the most common ones. Now, what I will tell you is this: you're going to be inspired to create in all three of those realms constantly. And you're going to take what Mother Nature gives you when you first start, because you might not have all the equipment and all the gear that you need to create scenes consistently. And that's not a bad thing at all. You can do a lot with a little, but just use what you have. So what I want to continue to tell you is this: when editing, find a way to enhance the photo to make it better, but not take away from the quality. So a lot of times when I'm editing a photo, in the film industry, they have something that's called Rec 709. And Rec 709 pretty much means, what did it actually look like on set? What did the actual footage look like on set? So a lot of times they're shooting these crazy formats that are real flat, so the image looks, where the darks are just bright enough to where you can manipulate them, and the highlights are bright enough so you can bring those down. They're bright enough, but they're not outside of the range. We'll talk more later about the histogram and how things all transcend together with that. But at the surface level, I just want to give you just a quick idea. You don't want your darks too dark, and you don't want your whites too white. So whenever you're looking at a scene with your eye that you've been training, you want to look for an area to where the brightest point is not super bright and the darkest point is not super black. If you start there with your photo, that will give you a lot of room to move things around when editing. And editing shouldn't be what makes the photo, it should be what enhances the photo. So when you're editing, think of things like contrast. That's a very good thing to use to enhance your photo. Think about sharpening, think about denoising, and also one more thing I want you to think about is vibrance and saturation. We'll go deeper in those later in other videos, but for today, I want you to go and find out as much as you can on those couple things I just said. And then once you understand those couple things, then we'll dive deeper into all the things editing. But look at the scene. When your eye is trained, look for those even or those lighting scenarios to where the camera isn't trying to make something super bright dark or something super dark bright. And that's gonna put you volumes ahead whenever you're doing photography. So that's it. 2 things to help you upgrade your photography to the next level. Use your eye, edit like a pro. And don't forget, it's better to upgrade your eye than your camera. All right, see you guys on the next one.